thank all the UAW leaders for allowing me to be a part of this conference. I'd like to thank all of you for allowing me to share a few laughs with you. And I'd like to thank my local union president, Tony Richards, for sending me. But I also would like to thank Cynthia Harris and all the ones that helped me to get here. I'd like to thank Sean Fain, our president, and all the leaders. All those that I don't mind, we're gonna charge it to my mind and not, don't mention, we're gonna charge it to my mind and not my heart. So I'd like to start off today with a scripture. Proverbs 17:22. Now this is a good scripture, this ain't laughter. But it says, laughter is like good medicine. And I'd like to share some of that with you, so if you got heartburn, drink some water, because we're gonna laugh tonight. The first thing I'd like to tell you is that a lot of people retire. And when they retire, they go home and they expect the wife to continue to make coffee, go in the kitchen and make coffee. You men think that you don't have to make coffee, but it's your job to make some coffee. And if you don't believe me, you can look in the Bible. There's a whole chapter in the Bible that says you should make coffee, and it's called Hebrews. Now, how many retirees we got here? I'm a retiree. I go to the bank and cash my check every month. But I'm reminded of a young lady that went to the bank to cash her check one month, and she looked around and she saw some guys following her. And as she was looking around, the one guy looked at the other one and he said, man, go get that check. Go get that check. She's going to the bank to cash that check. He went over there and he got close to her and he didn't get it. So she went by the church. She said, Pastor, it's a guy following me. And every time I look around, I think he gonna rob me. He says, don't you worry about it. So I give you a scripture and it's gonna protect you while you go to the bank to cash your check. She said, what's the scripture? She said, Acts 2:38. So the guy would come back by and she went to the bank the next day to cash her check. The guy said, man, there she go get that check. He went over there where she was. He run up on her. She said, Acts 2:38. She said, Acts 2:38. She said, Acts 2:38. He turned around and went back. He said, you get the check? She said, no, man, I didn't get that check. That old woman had an Acts in 2:38. I'm reminded of a trucker. He went to the restaurant to order his breakfast, and he had a waitress in there, and he ordered everything he ordered every day. She said, oh, can I help you? He said, you sure can, my dear. Said, what would you like to order? He said, I'd like 3 flat tires, 2 headlights, and a set of running boards. She said, what? She went back in there and she told the guy, said, what, you know, that guy made an order, he made a strange order. He said, what did he order? She said he ordered 3 flat tires, 2 headlights, and a set of running boards. He said, oh, ain't nobody but old Joe. So she said, oh, okay then, okay. So she went back out there and she told him, she said, it's gonna be a while, Joe, before your breakfast is ready. He said, oh, no problem, I got time to wait. So she went back in the kitchen. She come out with a bowl of beans. She gave it to Joe. He said, I didn't order it. She said, well, I thought you ought to gas up while you waiting. I'm reminded of a couple. They wasn't getting along too good, but they loved each other. But the wife had a plan. She said, I'm gonna take care of all of my husband's wishes. So she was standing by the bed, and lo and behold, he got sick. She was holding his hand. She said, well, honey, do you have any last wishes? He said, I sure do. I'm not leaving you back here with all my money. If I die, I want you to bury my money right with me. She said, no problem. I'll do anything you ask. I love you. Lo and behold, the man died. His girlfriend, her girlfriend asked her, said, well, I know you weren't crazy enough to bury all that money with him. She said, yes, I was. She said, what you do? She said, I wrote him a check. You know, the animals go to heaven too, you know. So I'm reminded of a little cat that he died and he went to heaven. And the Lord made his bed so easy. It was so easy for him. But he didn't have nothing to do up there. So lo and behold, he was just up there dancing around in heaven. And a little mouse died. The little mouse went to heaven up there. And the cat said, oh, just look at that. Look at yonder. Ooh, look at yonder. He went down there, and the little mouse was just riding around on the skateboard, just skating around in heaven. So when he looked around, the Lord went and asked the cat, say, ooh, how you feel? The cat said, oh man, I feel so good. Said, Lord, you've been so good to me. You sent me Meals on Wheels. I'm reminded of all of us, we got a little arthritis and little aches and pains that we have every now and then. So we have to come to our senses and come to our conclusion that we got to use a little Bengay and a little senior cologne. But see, I come to my senses and I realize I'm suffering from a Chinese disease. And my disease is young no more. How many of you take your kids to work with you sometimes? You know they have kids work day, you take your child to work. This young man took his son to work with him, and he had a good time. And when he got ready, he looked all around the office. And as he was looking around the office, his father said, you ready to go? The little boy said, no, Dad, I ain't ready to go yet. He said, why you ain't ready to go? I ain't seen none of them clowns you say you work with. I got a friend that's here, and she have a good husband, real good husband. He buys her flowers and, you know, and all of that and everything. Sometimes he may forget. So they went to a couples retreat one time, and they were just talking about Valentine's Day and all that kind of stuff, and they were asking them, said, well, all of you guys buy flowers for your wife? He said, yeah, I buy flowers all the time. She get flowers. This particular man, he forgot. He said, baby, what kind of flower you use? Is it self-rising? You know, we love our pets. This particular man, his pet died, his dog died. So he took his dog to his church, and he asked the pastor. He said, Pastor, would you have a funeral for my dog? The pastor said, no, I ain't having no funeral up in here for no dog. Now you take that dog down the street. Said, I think they bury animals down there. You take them down there. He said, okay, Pastor, well, I wanted you to know that if I take him down there, I'm going to have to donate that $5 million to that particular church. That pastor looked around and said, why you didn't tell me that dog was a Christian? Now, a preacher went to the church, a new preacher. He went to church and he said, you know, I like to get the congregation involved. He said, when I say my sermon, but before I get the congregation involved, I like to say words. And when I say the word, you just come out with a song. And he said, well, I'm going to say love. They said, oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. He said, very good, very good, very good. And then he said, friend. He said, What a friend we have in Jesus. He said, oh, that's very good, very good. Then he said, sex. Everybody got quiet like y'all. And then a little old 85-year-old woman jumped up. She said, precious memories. This little 4-year-old boy, he told his dad, he said, Dad, I think I want to get married. He said, you do? Well, who you gonna marry? He said, oh, Dad, I think I'm gonna marry Grandma. So what? He said, I think I'm gonna marry Grandma. So she loves me. I love her. She kisses me. She hugs me. She tells good bedtime stories. She cook good. And I think I'm gonna marry her. The father looked at him and said, son, you can't marry Grandma. He said, why? He said, well, Grandma is my mother. He said, why I can't marry your mother? You married mine. I'm reminded of a lady, she once was a pen pal. She had a pen pal. But she started dating this guy, sending him love letters, and he would send her love letters all about how, he loved her and everything. So she told her friend, she said, I had my dream husband, a dream man. She said he don't run around, he ain't got no chicks on the side. He lives in a gated community, and he's in bed by 9 o'clock. Her friend looked at her and said, girl, you trying to get him hooked up with an inmate. Now, I want to ask y'all a question. How y'all expect y'all kids to listen to their parents? We got these children out here, and they have all of these superheroes that they listen to and everything. Now, Cinderella, she stays out to midnight. Pinocchio does nothing but lie. Aladdin is the Prince of Thieves. Batman drives 320 miles an hour. Sleeping Beauty is sleep. She sleep all the time. And Snow White live with 7 million. Now, how y'all expect y'all kids to listen? Now, the guy was driving down the street. The police stopped him. And when he stopped him, he asked him, said, do you know why I stopped you? The guy looked back at him and said, that's the police. He said, I asked you, do you know why I stopped you? He said, if you don't remember, I'm not going to tell you. A little 80-year-old woman was getting ready to get married. She was getting ready to marry her 4th husband. So a friend asked her, said, Gladys, you've been married 3 times, now you're getting ready to marry the 4th husband. Said, could you tell me why you married all the men? She said, the first husband was a banker. The second husband was a ringmaster. My 3rd husband was a preacher. And this husband is a funeral director. She was, why you married him? She said, I married 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go. Little boy was in church and the preacher asked him, said, Johnny, you scared of Satan? Johnny said, am I scared of Satan? Say, you the one should be scared of him. You talk about him every Sunday. Now, you know we should never rush to marry. And we go to the church and we say, we meet up. Some people meet their husband in church and they think they done met a husband. See, but the church is called a hospital. It's called a hospital for sick people. But see, everybody in the church ain't responding to treatment. Y'all didn't get that, did you? Now, I'm reminded of a story during a sermon. A pastor announced, he said, if you know your wife is controlling you, move over to the left. All the men got up and they moved over to the left, except one man. Pastor was so happy. He looked out there and he said, "Why didn't you move?" He said, "My wife is the one told me I better not move." Now we're up here in Black Lake. I'm reminded of a story of God and Satan. They was accepting people in the kingdom and in hell. So Satan, he got some people. God got him some people. Satan got some, God got some. So they was happy. After a while, Satan got discouraged. He called up there and he told God, he said, "I need some help down here." God said, "Okay, no problem. I'll send you some help." So God sent a bunch of chaplains. Sent them down there to help Satan out in hell. But lo and behold, Satan called God about a week later, said, "God, I want you to come down here and get these chaplains. They down here praying and trying to put out my fire." I'm reminded, all of you like football, right? I know the men do. I'm reminded of a guy, he took his wife to a football game. And as he took her to the football game, they had real good seats. They were sitting back there. The two teams come out. They flipped the quarter. The other team had scrambled and got the quarter. And he went on to the game. After the game was over, he come back. He said, "Baby, did you enjoy the game?" She said, "Oh, I enjoyed that game." So them guys had on them tight jerseys and them shirts. Said, "But one thing I don't understand." Said, "What was that?" Said, "They were fighting so hard out there." They said, "What do you mean they was fighting?" So every time you turn around, they was hollering, "Get the quarterback, get the quarterback." Now, I went to KFC about my lunch one day, and I was sitting there eating, and a vegan walked up to me and said to me, "Rose, do you know that chicken you eat had a family?" I looked at him, I said, "Yeah, I know he had a family. That's why I ordered the family bucket. I didn't want to leave nobody behind."
Whenever you run out.
I'm reminded, you know, McDonald killed Wendy. He killed Wendy over Burger King. Popeye was a witness. But Popeye went to Subway. Now, they gonna have a funeral at church Sunday. Y'all going? I want to tell y'all a little story. There were 3 ladies got on the elevator, and two of the ladies, they were young girls, pretty girls, smelling good, just smelling out loud. The girl said, "What you wearing?" She said, "Oh, that's Chanel number 5. That's $300 an ounce." She said, "That smells good." I said, "Well, what are you wearing?" She said, "I'm wearing St. Laurent's." She said, "That's $400 an ounce." She said, "Oh, you smell good." A little old lady got on the elevator. When she got ready to get off, the lady said, "What that you smell?" She turned around and looked at her. She said, "Broccoli, 49 cents a pound." You know, a preacher got up in the pulpit and he said, "Now, you know, I've been praying for everybody to stop drinking wine. We just gonna have our wine on the first Sunday. So I want you to take all your wine and I want you to take it and throw it in the river, and we're gonna be through with it." So he looked over at the guy playing the piano. You know what he started playing? He said, "I'm gonna lay down my burden, down by the riverside. They were all going down to get that wine. I want to thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to say a few words to you, and I hope that I've said something that make you laugh. Laughter is good medicine for the heart. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's something when you come together like this, and how much joy you get with the spirit of oneness, and how we just come together for one person, one individual, to encourage them as they continue on their journey in life. Guys, God bless you. Thank you. I love you all.
And I'd like to say this too, and I hope you're still recording this.
I am.
The information and the jokes that I tell, they call Granny's Funnings and Family Fun. You can go on the internet and you will see these jokes. They're not, some of them I did write and some I didn't, but those that I didn't write, I changed the words that it turn around to something that's spiritual and something that'll make you laugh. So I'd like to thank all the ones on the internet and the ones that allowed me to use their material. And I hope that you would take it up on your own to somebody to go on and keep the laughter going for UAW Black Lake Chaplaincy Conference.
God bless you guys. Thank you for coming.